This is Mark Hendrickson, head football coach at Western Illinois University. It's been my honor to be a member of the Fighting Leatherneck football program for the past 12 seasons. The first 11 years have been the offensive coordinator and assistant head coach at Western Illinois. And then this past fall, the fall of 2010, I was the head football coach. And fortunately, we have an outstanding tradition here of football. A lot of great players have gone through Western Illinois, from Mike Wagner of the Super Bowl Pittsburgh Steelers years, to Brian Cox, to Rodney Harrison, and Aaron Stecker, and then some recent players in the NFL would be Rich Sorbert of the New York Giants, punter Mike Cypress of the San Diego Chargers, and then just recently in 2009, Jason Williams, a linebacker for us, was the first pick in the NFL draft by the Dallas Cowboys that year. So it's been a great tradition. Those are just a few of the names that have been here in the past. And it is an outstanding university where you can receive a great education and win a lot of football games while you're here as well, if you're a student athlete in the Leatherneck football program. We do take a great deal of pride in being the only school at any level of competition that's allowed to use the nickname of the Fighting Leathernecks. That is the official nickname of the U.S. Marine Corps. In the 1927, the U.S. Naval Department allowed our school to use that name, the Fighting Leathernecks, in the Marine SEAL logo, and the bulldog as our mascot. And we're the only, as I mentioned, we're the only school in America that's allowed to use that name. And so obviously we educate our players in regards to what we represent as far as the U.S. Marine Corps and the U.S. Armed Forces as a whole, and our players and staff and entire university, of course, takes a great deal of pride in that. It was fortunate for us to have a young man on our team this year that made a big difference in terms of our turnaround, and that young man was wide receiver who wore jersey number 1, Lito Senatus. And Lito made big play after big play, and it was no secret to who our quarterback was going to go to on many, many occasions. Mainly in the tougher the situation in the ball game, I believe the other team knew very well that we wanted to throw the ball to Lito, and therefore they had some schemes and some things designed to try to stop Lito, and yet based on Lito's, one, his ability, and two, his just desire to perform well for his teammates and his university, so they just couldn't shut the young man down. Lito's one of those great competitors that practices every day, lifts weights every day, runs every day with a big smile on his face, and is always a great role model for all of his teammates. After fall camp last August, Lito was selected by his teammates as one of our 4 captains, and they couldn't have made a better selection than Lito. His contribution in his years in the program has been outstanding, and especially this fall, his senior year, his leadership off the field, on campus, in the locker room, and then his performances on Saturdays were just outstanding. And we did have a 7-game turnaround from the year before, the 2010, the largest turnaround in Division I football this past fall, and Lito had a lot to do with that turnaround. And I thank everybody for your time and your interest in Western Illinois Leatherneck football, and I thank you for listening to. We take a lot of pride in playing and performing well on our home field that's called Hanson Field. Hanson Field was named after Rock Hanson, and Rock Hanson was a World War I Marine hero, and following that, when he returned to the States as a national recognized hero from World War I, Rock Hanson settled in Macomb, Illinois, became the director of athletics and the head coach of every sport in the 20s at Western Illinois University. And today, we play on Hanson Field because that's what it was named in 1950 in honor of Rock Hanson. This year, in 2010, we went 6-0, undefeated on Hanson Field. Our players take a great deal of pride in the defending our home turf. And one of the big victories, or certainly the closest victory, I'll put it that way, at Hanson Field this year was versus Youngstown State University. It was a battle back and forth where the lead exchanged hands several times. And then somewhere with just less than a minute to go, we were in a situation, I believe 2nd and 10 on the 23-yard line, and we were down. And we needed a touchdown to take the lead, and not a field goal. And we threw a ball to the flat to Lito, who caught the ball and appeared to be shoved out of bounds on the opposite sideline, away from the rubberneck bench. It appeared to be shoved out of bounds for about a 5-yard gain. And yet somehow, Lito managed to literally put the cleats of his toes into the turf. His heels, as you can see on the replay, his heels were over the white line for the out of bounds, and yet we're not touching the ground. His heels were above the white line, his toes were on the field of play, and somehow he managed to hang on literally by less than half an inch. And he came back onto the field of play, and then proceeded to make about 5 people miss as he zigzagged right down the sideline and dove into the end zone to give us the lead. Our defense held, and that kept us undefeated at Hanson Field. And that play will be replayed many times on replay by our fans, and it will certainly be etched forever in the. We're very proud of Lito's accomplishments, and very honored that he was selected to the College Football Performance Awards team, and we thank you for listening.